it's me decide to rely on yourself in no way. Believe.
Good morning. Welcome to Friday, end of the week, and a good thing too, because this has been a longer week than anticipated. So we are going to dive straight into the topic today of the Gideon Effect. And to begin, I wanted to have the topic read out so people can hear it. I want people to understand it from the book itself. So it might take a little bit, but just listen. And then we'll break it down and go into what I have to say about this. Okay. Now, one thing to listen for is the very first line, because that's very important to catch that first before you really listen to the rest of it. Okay, just make sure you listen to that first line. Here we go.
Judges 6. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains and caves and strongholds. And so it was, when Israel had sown, that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites and the children of the east, even they came up against them, and they encamped against them, and destroyed the increase of the earth, till thou come unto Gaza, and left no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor ass. For they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude, for both they and their camels were without number. And they entered into the land to destroy it. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. And it came to pass, when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt, and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drave them out from before you, and gave you their land. I said unto you, I am the Lord your God. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell. But ye have not obeyed my voice. And there came an angel of the Lord, and sat under an oak which was in Ophrah, that pertained unto Joash the Abiezerite. And his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him, and said unto him, The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valour. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of, saying, Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us, and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. And the Lord looked upon him, and said, Go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. And the Lord said unto him, Surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man.
Okay. First portion. Now, if you caught anything at the beginning, Israel had a habit, okay, a very continual habit of disobedience. They were, if you read anything in the Old Testament, you'll probably hear the term, and Israel did what was wrong in the sight of the Lord, and Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and Israel turned from the Lord, and Israel disobeyed the Lord. You hear that almost continually. Now, one of the bigger things I noticed was when the angel of the Lord came to Gideon. Gideon's mindset was a little bit weary. He was weary. He said directly that if you are for us, why is this stuff happening to us? The first thing that jumped out is that the disobedience of many affects those who want to be faithful. The disobedience of many affects those who want to be faithful. Because here's what happens. The few see the many doing what is wrong, and the blessing that could have been there is no longer there. Now, Gideon directly said, I am the least. We're poor, and I am the least. And then God says one very important statement: I am with you. If I'm sending you, you don't need to worry about any of the things you just mentioned, like at all. He was the least. Where was all your works, God, when like you brought us out of Egypt and da 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 da? God didn't even address that statement that he made. You notice that? You know, he didn't even address it. He just said, go, you're going to free Israel. Yeah, but I'm sending you. That's all you need to know. I'm sending you. We saw this before when he was sending Moses. Moses had all kinds of excuses. Just go, I'm sending you. That's all you need to know. I am sending you. Now, this is going to get even more awesome as this goes along. Okay, so just keep listening. But I wanted to make that slight interjection there as we go along, because I think it's important to notice that when the majority people disobey, there is a direct effect on the ones that do want to follow. And the Lord will avoid the disobedient few and focus on the faithful few for the sake of the disobedient. And I find that pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. We're in Judges 6, for those who are late.
And he said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee, and bring forth my present, and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. And Gideon went in, and made ready a kid, and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it. And the angel of God said unto him, Take the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes. And there rose up fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight. And when Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Lord, Gideon said, Alas, O Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face. And the Lord said unto him, Peace be unto thee, fear not, thou shalt not die.
Let me interject again. Here's another trait that the Gideon effect has. You will do what he tells you to do in the manner he tells you to do it. And he will wait for your offering as well. The bigger thing is that you do what is asked of you. If you watch, the angel of the Lord told him specifically what to do. Take the flesh and the cake and put them on, and then pour out the broth on it. That was the instruction. And he did so. He did exactly what was told. He didn't come back and say, "Are you sure in that order?" He didn't say, "Should I put everything in the pot and then on the stone?" I said, meat, cakes, broth. Gideon did it right away. Just did it. How many of us, when we know what we're supposed to do, like to put little caveats on God? Yeah, but I mean, am I supposed to do that fully? Like all of that? I don't know if I'm in that order. Isn't there a different way to get to heaven? Can I worship different? Can I find a different way to follow what you say? Can I do it quietly? Can I please? There wasn't anything like that. He just did it. Period.
Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord, and called it Jehovah Shalom. Until this day it is yet an Ophrah of the Abiezerites. And it came to pass the same night, that the Lord said unto him, Take thy father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw it on the altar of Baal that thy father hath, and cut down the grove that is by it. And build an altar unto the Lord thy God upon the top of this rock, in the ordered place. And take the second bullock, and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the grove which thou shalt cut down. Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants, and did as the Lord had said unto him. And so it was, because he feared his father's household and the men of the city, that he could not do it by day, that he did it by night.
Real quick. There was one aspect of this that kind of jumped out at me. There was wisdom, even though it was considered fear, in that moving at night as opposed to the day. The order was to take down Baal, that statue, and put up an altar to God. Now, Gideon knew what kind of backlash could come if he was seen. But he also knew that he had to go through with what God told him to do. So he picked an opportune time. Now, some could say he subdued himself to fear, and that's why he did it at night, and that was a disobedient thing. Consider this. Consider him going in the middle of the day and being stopped and halted, and the artifact of Baal stayed up. Just consider that for a minute. He did exactly what was told, though. He went and did it. Just a thought.
And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it, and the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. And they said one to another, Who hath done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon the son of Joash hath done this thing. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, Bring out thy son, that he may die, because he hath cast down the altar of Baal, and because he hath cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood against him, Will ye plead for Baal? Will ye save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death, whilst it is yet morning, if he be a god. Let him plead for himself, because one hath cast down his altar. Therefore on that day he called him Jerubbaal, saying, Let Baal plead against him, because he hath thrown down his altar.
Now, the man of the sea still found out who it was. Couldn't avoid it. But by then, everything had been done. And he did it exactly the way God told him to do it. Exactly. The funny part, and I think it's hilarious, is the father's reaction. You gonna argue on the side of for Baal? Okay, then let him fight for himself. Go ahead. If you want to contend for Baal, contend for Baal. Have fun. Have fun. You see, when you are on the side of God and you know who God is, you can speak about false gods this way. You can speak about people who have no power this way. You can challenge them to just about anything because they have no power. They have zero power. And when God asks you to do something, he will also be there to defend you after doing what he's told you to do. Now, let's be honest with yourself, okay? How many of us are told to do something and for fear of the aftermath, we never do it? Or better yet, for fear of just the act itself, you don't do it. Do you not believe that going through with what he asked you to do, he will come forth to protect and defend you? You don't believe that going through with what he told you to do, in that act of obedience, he won't defend and protect you? Part of this is our trust of God is so little anymore that we have this almost dictatorship kind of mindset about him. And by that, I mean, he wants what he wants, and the ones faithful to him, he just casts aside. I mean, his law is absolute. Don't get it wrong. His law is absolute. But he does not allow the people who are faithful to him to wander. He's not like that. The thing I found cool about Gideon is his constant stepping into what he was called to do every time. There was almost an eager side to him that was just waiting for the next command. And it didn't matter what it was. The next command is what I'm going to do. I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. When we get to that point, I think we'll be happier. Like, for sure.
Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together, and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiezer was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him. And he sent messengers unto Asher, and unto Zebulun, and unto Naphtali, and they came up to meet them. And Gideon said unto God, If thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said. And it was so. For he rose up early on the morrow, and thrust the fleece together, and wring the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. And Gideon said unto God, Let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me prove, I pray thee, but this once with the fleece. Let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. And God did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground.
Now, y'all remember Abraham? Um, and Abraham's commitment to constantly being before God, right? There was a connection, a relationship that Abraham had with God that was so deep and rich that it saved many after him. It was also so deep that his conversations with God was indeed a back and forth. Abraham had homage paid to God and a reverence for God that was so deep that he could have a actual conversation with God, like when he was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And he had that back and forth. What if about 20, 15, 10, 5, and the breakdown constantly going down. I see the exact same thing here with Gideon, which seems to tell me that when you have that kind of a relationship, there are things that he will do to prove what he said, and to prove that he did say it, and to prove that it's him. Because he's knowing that you're not asking this out of a place of insecurity, but a place of wanting full, unabashed reassurance, complete confirmation. So when Abraham went and said, "Okay, just don't get mad. What if they're 20? Okay, for 20 I'll spare. Okay, all right. I'm gonna ask one more. What about 15? Okay, 15. Okay. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. What about 5? Now, understand this. They both came at God with this particular viewpoint. Do not let your anger burn against me because of these questions. They wanted to be assured. They wanted also God to know, I'm not discounting what you say, but for this sake, just confirm this for me. But you know how they could do that? They couldn't just get up one morning and approach God like that. This was years of communication and relationship. A true chasing after God. They didn't just willy-nilly decide that that's what they could not do that. There was relationship. There was reverence. And the fact that God knew their heart is why he would be able to answer them the way he did. The exact same way they asked for that confirmation. Let the fleece be wet, let the fleece be dry. Both happened. What is the Gideon effect? Why would I title it that? The Gideon effect is, as the way I see it, is this. Your reverence for God supersedes everything else. Your awe and reverence for God supersedes everything else. Period. That's 1. 2, when he says to do something, it's done. There is no questioning it. There is no what if. There is no can I do a sub. There is just doing. He said, do it. It is done. Obedience is it. And the last thing about the Gideon effect is the relationship. There is a relationship to where you can speak to him and he will answer. The relationship is key. The reason I listed them in that order is because the relationship cannot be fostered without reverence and without obedience. It can't happen. The relationship that you need to have with God cannot occur first. That relationship is built on reverence and obedience. Those two things create the depth of the relationship. I cannot say I have a relationship with God if I do not have reverence for him and I don't do what he said. I can't have a relationship with him. There is a sequence. I must see God as he is and who I am before him. Reverence. I must then, because of my place, obey. And in my obedience, I have just fully solidified the start of my relationship with him. I am building on my reverence and obedience and fostering my relationship. I will give you the textbook definition first, okay? A feeling of profound awe and respect and often love. Reverence, to revere, to hold in awe, to hold lofty, to regard as above oneself. That is reverence. It's a recognition of you being lower and him being above. And not just in any random man made version of it, high above you, untouchable above you, ways higher than yours, judgments higher than yours, higher. And when you realize what you are and who you are before him, you will obey. And in that obedience, you have just fostered true relationship. See, a lot of us want to bypass the reverence and the obedience thing and just say we have a relationship. We don't really have any awe of God. We don't have any real fear of him. He's all love, all love. He's just like you and me. You've heard that before, right? God is just like us. He understands us. He is above you. He is way above you. Do not get this twisted, people. Do not get this twisted. while he may have made himself in human form, you are not the same as God. You belong to him. And as something that belongs to him, you do not have the same place. That hierarchy does not negate his love, mind you, but you should know your place. We love to put ourselves in these lofty positions. Don't do that. Don't do that. God is who he is, and you are who you are beneath. A recognition of that is vital to the relationship. It is no different than my children. While they might be mine, they are not the same, nor are they on the same level. They are subservient to me. They are my children. I expect obedience in order for the relationship to work. I offer love from a position of someone that is above. They receive the love as someone below. The two shall not meet. The parent shall not be the child, and the child cannot be the parent. Those two roles cannot be switched. But in that dynamic is one of the richest relationships one can find. The love of a child to its parent and the parent to a child is one of the sweetest things you'll ever encounter. But do not get it twisted. You and I are not the same, child. You are not the same. I still have the authority here. And you still have the right to revere me because of my love. Not in spite of it, because of it. And knowing me that I love you, obedience should be automatic, like with Gideon. And with obedience comes one very important thing: relationship. If you want to have a true relationship with God, you feel like it's been lacking. You feel like it's just been, thank you, Amber. You feel like it's just been dry, dull. Maybe check to see if you still hold God in reverence. Check to see if you still hold him as the top dog. See if you have still a reverence for God. Check that first. Then check to see if you've been obedient. Because you might just be like Israel and be doing what is wrong in the sight of the Lord. And he has been allowing you to stray. And you've now fallen into the hands of your own vices. And you're asking yourself, where is God? I thought he would save me. Well, maybe the reverence you should have for him, you don't have, and maybe the obedience you should be doing, you're not. And you can't have those two without. You have to have the relationship, right? Good. Then you know what you probably should find? The first two ingredients. Maybe find back the two ingredients that you decided that you don't need. I don't need full obedience. I can do partial obedience. You know, God is my friend, you know. We're on the same tone. We're on speaking terms, you know. It's a lateral movement. Top dog. If you gather anything from Gideon, not just his strength, but understand where Gideon's strength came from. Gideon's strength came from his reverence for God and his obedience to God. The same thing with Abraham. The exact same thing with Abraham. And every great man that ever followed, that was the sequence: reverence and obedience. Job, reverence and obedience. Even Jesus to the cross, reverence and obedience. The example is there throughout the entirety of all the books. You could even find them, the same example, in all the books you might think are excluded. You can't have what you're looking for in relationship with God if you don't put him in his place. And his place is above you and all that you do. And obedience is required. Stop disobeying. Stop being Israel. Stop. In your outgoing this weekend, if you can keep one thing in mind, and that one thing is this: the God of the universe wants to have an enduring relationship with you. And that relationship is going to keep you from every manner of trouble. It's going to sustain you through some of the hardest times that this life will put you through. And if you want that kind of peace, you have to fall on your knees in reverence to him. You have to. I don't, there's no other way, people. I'm sorry to tell you, but I'm not sorry to tell you. There's no other way to God. There's not another pathway you can take. He set things in stone, and they shall not be removed. You want to enter the kingdom? You want to have the kind of peace you think you want? You got to give it up. See his position. And he loved you so much that he left you a pathway. See, he is the king. See, he is the king. Obey what he laid down for you to enter the kingdom. There's only one way: through the blood. Obey. Do it. Then and only then can the relationship start. That's all I can offer you in terms of advice. Just going based on what people have been doing for a millennia with God. Reverence, obedience, relationship. In case you missed the schedule for next week, it is out. It is out. The schedule is out. And on the 27th, even though Too Strong did its own breakdown, I have some other things I wanted to talk about in regards to the discussion that Joe Rogan had with Matt Walsh. Some very specific things I wanted to go into. So I'll be doing my own reaction to that on Monday. And then on Tuesday, what can I learn from the devil? I know it may sound like an odd title, but just bear with me. What can I learn from the devil? Wednesday, The mortally wounded beast head. That's from Revelations 13, if you need to read up on that. Revelations 13. Thursday, pornography in women. The impact that pornography has on the mind and life of women. And is it the same type of addiction that men have that women have? Okay. That one should be interesting. I noticed a lot of the women popped out for the men and pornography and brought their men in. I just hope that you'd bring some of your female friends for that one too. Okay. Bring the same energy. Okay. Bring that energy too if you're gonna be here for me talking to the guys about it. You better be here for your version too. All right. I'm just saying, this whole double standard thing. I know you probably won't have the same energy. You ain't gonna bring the same amount of people. I know a guy that needs to. Don't back out now. Okay. Don't back out now. Okay. This will be for you. For you. Just saying. All right. And then on Friday, this one's going to make some people interested. Is the cross an idol? Is the cross an idol? I won't tell you where I'm going with that topic title yet, but is the cross an idol? Okay. All right. So now that you have the titles, you have the topics, you have it all. There should be no question now whether or not you want to make it. I'll be checking my mail today. If you haven't sent or you did send, let me know so I can check and let you know if it came here today. If you need to send something, there's the P.O. box at the bottom there. Let's make sure you put my name correctly on there, Marlon Brown. Brown with an E. I mean, it'll probably still get there, but just to be sure. That's the P.O. box there. I'm looking forward to next week. It should be really good. In the meantime and in between time, y'all have a grand weekend. Rest, because I actually took yesterday and I slept nearly 80% of the day. And I woke up feeling like I was refreshed. I slept almost the entire day. It felt so good. I needed it. My body was just saying, need more. So I slept. And I'm going to do it again this weekend. And I believe that I have some visitors coming this weekend too from the program, from the audience there. So I'm having some help put in my sink. And it's Lori and her husband are coming this weekend to help me put in a new bathroom counter. So I'm going to get some help and get to meet at least one of you guys, albeit for work. And so love you guys. Mean it. We'll catch you guys next week, and we'll also catch you. Don't forget, the Savage Patriots are on today at 6:30. And the Too Strong and the Mix tonight. Before I leave, take a gander at this commercial real quick.
Hey you, would you like Too Strong to promote your product or your social media platform? We have over 200,000 subscribers and followers combined. We'll promote your product or channel in the beginning of our live show. You can also provide us a link and we'll put it in our comment section forever. Get started today. All you have to do is email us at toostrongpodcast@gmail.com. Any and all promotions are subject to approval by Fair Media.
There you go. If you like advertising, contact toostrongpodcast@gmail.com. Well, happy birthday in advance, Lovey. Turning 25, are we? Good to know. Good job. You hit the big 25. Good job. We'll see you guys on the rest of the shows later today. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. Please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die.